This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where every week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be talking to Natalie Pannon of Mojo Host. Adult Site Broker is proud to announce ASB Cash, the first affiliate program for an adult website brokerage. With ASB Cash, you'll have the chance to earn as much as 20% of our broker commission, referring sellers and buyers to us at Adult Site Broker. Check our website at asbcash.com for more details. Now let's feature our property of the week that's for sale at Adult Site Broker. We are proud to list for sale a network of two mainstream flirt chat sites. The sites get their traffic from the UK, Australia, Belgium, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. Both are mainstream flirt chat websites with credit monetization on a pay-per-message basis. They have a loyal customer base of 27,000 plus real members, with many customers still active from 2017. Some have spent more than 10,000 euros. The average customer spends 450 euros. The sites have very steady recurring revenue. With very low overhead and a proven ROI of 900% plus on every euro spent on affiliate marketing, these sites have room to grow from where they are now. The weekly upkeep of the sites requires very little time, and most of the work consists of promoting the sites to bring in new customers and tease the existing 27,000 plus strong member database. Many great markets are yet untapped for these sites, but could easily be added, such as Germany, France, and the USA. Thanks to the non-adult nature, you can easily promote them via Google and email. You can buy these two great sites for only 484,000 euros. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is Natalie Pannon of Mojo Host. Natalie, thanks for being with us today on Adult Site Broker Talk.
Thank you for inviting me, Bruce.
It's a pleasure. Now, and Mojo Host, where Natalie works, has 58 awards for outstanding hosting services and business practices. It's the leading choice for hosting in the adult industry. Established in 1999, Mojo Host's growth and attention to powering the success of its clients has positioned it as a choice for mainstream hosting needs as well. They offer dedicated servers, virtual private servers, the Mojo Host CDN, Global Content Delivery Network, that's a mouthful, Mojo Host Cloud Computing Services, Mojo Shield website security, and other web technology solutions. Now, Natalie has been part of the adult industry for 8 years now, and she grew from user technical support to decision-making sales and marketing positions. She's now the business development, sales, and marketing, jokingly, BDSM, get that, business development, sales, and marketing manager at Mojo Host. Her job is to take on everything required to develop the business. So duties are quite varied, from sales and marketing to HR and team building to washing the dishes. She handles what needs to be done. I threw that one in. And is not afraid of the responsibility that comes with showing initiative. Now, Natalie has a master's degree in journalism. And you did one better than me because I only got a bachelor's in broadcast journalism, and worked in many fields before entering the business of digital adult entertainment. She's been a teacher. She sold diamonds wholesale. She's been a barista. I didn't know she could make a good cup of coffee. I need to ask her next time. And a legal clerk. She enjoys reading sci-fi and fantasy books. And if she goes to the movies, you can pretty much bet it's something about superheroes. She wears many hats. The two most wide-brimmed of those are Mojo Host's BDSM and she's a mom. Natalie's daughter is going on 5 years of age, so that hat is getting more and more fun every day. So, hey, talk about being a mom. You got a 5-year-old. How does that mix with doing business?
Well, it sometimes does feel like you're a jigsaw octopus. That's sort of my term for having to multitask during work.
I love that.
But that being said, I mean, motherhood is great, and I've managed to incorporate, being a working individual who puts in at least 8 or 10 hours a day to
Hmm.
also spending time with my daughter. And that's something that I particularly enjoy, especially now that you see her growing into an individual and somebody with her own opinions and somebody who thinks and functions as a grown up, as a small little version of a grown up. So it's certainly an interesting experience for sure. It was difficult, especially in the very beginning with, no sleep. And I think I took a total of 4 months for maternity,
Hmm.
and that was that, and then went right back to work. Um, so it was a little difficult to juggle, but overall, I'm enjoying the life as you say it,
Hmm.
and definitely enjoying the job as well. So
I know.
it's a good place to be, where you're happy to wake up in the morning, you're happy to come to work, you're happy to get off work and spend time with your daughter.
Hmm.
um, so the whole balance of life and work is certainly working out, if not particularly easily, obviously, but at least to the best.
Yeah. Now you live in the Ukraine.
Yep.
That's you guys have certainly had your share of issues. How has life been there lately?
You know what? I'm kind of far away from any issues, so
Good.
it's not really touched me directly.
Hmm.
Obviously, there's worries about things that are going on in the east, but it's kind of
Mm,
dying down lately.
good.
And I mean, Odessa, where I'm at right now, is really the quietest place. It's at the beach. It's a tourist destination.
Hmm.
So the location isn't that big of a deal for me. And I quite like it here. I mean,
Hmm.
the beach in the summer is definitely great. We do have
Yeah.
4 seasons, which is amazing. People think that since I'm from Ukraine, it must be really cold. And I guess everything is comparative. There's warmer places and there's definitely colder places. But I do enjoy the fact that there's 4 seasons. We actually had some snow this summer for a
Mm.
change, because last summer we had no snow, and it was, well, to the great upsetness of my child, who really wanted to go sledding and
Sure.
skating and all of those things. So um, happy with that. Overall, I mean, it's been pretty quiet. Odessa's always been a very, it's a port city, and it's always been like a
Hmm.
trader city. And the one thing about traders is they're trying to stay as far away from trouble as they can,
Sure.
because it's not good for trade, not
Hmm.
good for business. So Odessa's kind of been away from most of the issues that has happened in the country over the past 10 years.
Good.
In a good place overall, and country's doing better, I think. I'm not much for politics. You won't see one comment from me in a political thread anywhere. But I just think that it's doing better than it was 5 years ago for sure. So
Yeah,
that much is good.
that is good. Now, being where you are, and I would imagine a reasonable percentage of your business is in the U.S., how do you balance that?
By working all sorts of hours is going to be my response. But I
Yeah.
mean, we do have a lot of customers in Europe, and
Yes.
we also have customers in Asia, which I can pick up on, my morning.
Hmm.
So sometimes I do have to show up for PST phone calls that, maybe my 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever it is, but it's not really that common. I mean, most of the time, I can easily schedule things into my evening that still catches the PST morning. The office people call me employee from the future, because by the time they've shown up to the office, I've likely been working for 6 or 7 hours. Um, so that's nice. I usually have a a lead on them for anything that's going on. And we've grown our presence here. I mean, being able to join Mojo Host, and then eventually, one of the first things that I noticed was that technical talent was always, a restricting factor in anything that we did. And
Mm.
so, I actually helped the company. What I jokingly say that I brought the Ukrainian mafia, but I I actually helped the company hire a lot of technical staff here. Very, very
Yeah.
smart technical staff that are all senior level systems administrators.
Hmm.
Uh, and the tech team had tripled over the past few years.
Wow.
So I was lucky enough. Well, first of all, I was lucky enough to stumble upon a large hosting company that was closing its office
Oh, wow.
here in Ukraine. So I picked up all of the best team members from them.
That's
And then,
awesome.
and then obviously others. I've done a lot of screening for talented systems administrators in the country and was able to help us grow that way. And now we're certainly geared towards success with how much the tech team has grown and are able to bring on a lot more customers and do a lot more migrations and really cut our response times and how quickly we deal with any requests.
That's awesome.
So, definitely in a good place. And, we're always open to hiring technical staff really anywhere, especially with COVID now that the office work isn't really a thing anyway, even for people in the US, or we do have an office in Ukraine, but we don't require anybody to show up there. It's more of a backup in case, the lights go out or something, or your mother-in-law shows up and you can't work at home anymore. Mother-in-laws are touchy topics, so
Yes.
just skip that one. But other than that, I mean, we've grown tremendously, and I'm very, very happy to see this growth.
Yes. Yeah, there's a ton of tech talent in Eastern Europe. There's no two ways about it. And a lot of it is in the Ukraine. Now, how did you end up in the adult business? Or I should say, how did a nice girl like you get in a place like this?
You know what? First off, I want to say that I do not think there's anything particularly bad about adult.
Of
I
course.
mean, we can all be hypocrites and say,
we joke about it. We joke about it. There's
ethical adult businesses, frankly, a lot of ethical adult businesses, and I think it's better to have that than a shady way of doing it. And one way or another, porn is going to be part of our lives. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Yep. Besides that, I mean, the story is kind of out there. I've already done some written interviews on it. The sort of nuts and bolts on it were that I was 23 and had started a job selling diamonds wholesale, which was interesting and great and a little terrifying because, I could have $50,000 in my purse at any given time, as I was, dealing with jewelers. Wholesale diamond sales are all dealing with jewelers. I never really sold directly to customers. But it was going well, but it was boring. You would think, right, that diamonds are girls' best friends. And
come on. I was just going to say that.
But beyond the simplicity of learning the colors and shapes and being able to tell a better diamond from a worse one, it really wasn't all that interesting. And once you've kind of grown into knowing the intricacies of judging the stones, there's not very much, you bargain on price, but that's fairly easy. So it became really, really daunting that I wasn't really learning anything. And every day it was really the same. So I started looking for something that would be a little more challenging. And I found a job posting that said that they're looking for a tech support person. And, having a very good English, that was one of the biggest requirements there. I decided to apply. And it actually took a good month for them to get back to me, which doing HR now I think is ridiculous. But after a month, they invited me for an interview, were very happy with me, hired me. And then as I was leaving, they said, "Are you religious?" I'm like, "No, not really, or not particularly." And they said, "Well, how do you feel about, this working with this industry?" I said, I had no idea that I've showed up to an interview for that, but I said, okay, whatever. I quite liked everything else. I mean, it was a great office, really nice team. So I started working there, and my very first job was actually user support, not just on a adult site, on a hardcore bukkake network. Yeah. So, that was a lot of fun. I mean, most of the requests are obviously either billing or something not working, but it was certainly a step from diamonds, let's say.
Yeah. Bukkake is definitely a reach from diamonds for sure.
And then from there, I got drafted into sales, kicking and screaming, actually, because I liked the tech side so much and I wanted to learn more in it that I did not want to transfer into sales. And despite offering me more money and trying to push me towards sales and marketing position, I still did not want to do it. And I think there was 3 or 4 frantic conversations when I said, I don't want to go into sales. I just want to do this tech stuff. I really like it. I want to learn this API. I want to learn a little bit of coding. But you have such great people skills, I was told. All right. So eventually I started, but I realized that being in sales does not mean you have to drop everything and only work on sales. First of all, and this isn't really common, but I think the salesperson needs to know their product in depth. And by in depth, I don't necessarily mean being able to write the code for it, but I mean that they need to know what it is that they're selling and how it works.
Absolutely.
So maybe not the particular intricacies of actual coding, but at least the basics need to be known. Some of the technical questions the salesperson needs to know how to answer, at least by, kind of learning by osmosis. I mean, you work with the tech team to answer customers' questions, and eventually you figure out the answers to them and why those answers are so. And so I've always focused on understanding and being more in depth with both, right now it would be server hardware and the server load and what the websites require in terms of infrastructure and how the CDN works and how CDN, by the way, is that mouthful of content delivery network that you mentioned earlier, and how web application firewalls work and how to protect yourself from like an attack, for example, and how all of those tools work. So there's definitely a lot of learning to do for somebody who has not been exposed in hosting at all. And I feel like in 3 years, I've certainly grown here, and I don't really see a ceiling of growing since there's just so much to learn. So much. In infrastructure, there's so much to learn. So I definitely don't feel like I'll reach a ceiling anytime soon here in terms of growth and new knowledge.
So why did you move on from the first job?
I actually, frankly, talking about ceilings, I realized that I haven't went to somebody with a question for a while, and I haven't really learned anything new for a while. So I've kind of known how to deal with pretty much any situation, and people were coming to me for, guidance, or maybe the support staff or the sales staff, and I haven't really been required to learn anything new for a while. So I decided that it was time to move on. I mean, I spent 5 years there. I have the greatest experiences and the greatest memories of that job. It was just time to go. And I felt like the product had launched, or the newer product. I don't know, I haven't mentioned yet, but I was with Centro, and then starting with Adult Centro, moving into Model Centro, and eventually Fan Centro.
Yep. Working for Stan.
The products have launched. They were successful. Stan's great, by the way. I mean, I like him very much. His family's great. So it was great working for him, but it was time to go. I felt like I wasn't bringing enough value anymore, or rather, I was just bringing the same old value and not growing.
That's good.
So it was time to go.
Okay. Now you've worked in very dynamic fields before Mojo, dealing with models and content owners as well as site operators. I think you may have answered the question, if I'm reading into things, because I'm starting to follow your mind. Why did you choose hosting, something that some people would consider kind of geeky and boring?
Well, for somebody who likes sci-fi, geeky is sort of a compliment.
Oh, that's true. That's true. My bad.
I did partly answer your question. Of course, it's for a new thing, something new to do. The other reason is actually not so evident, but Stan being Stan, and obviously he's a great man with a lot of businesses. I really did not want to do anything to upset him, because I respect him and I think he's a great guy. So one of my requirements for looking for a new job was to get a job somewhere where there is no competition.
Got it.
to the things that he does. So frankly, being such a great businessman, that wasn't very many things available anymore. Because,
you make a point since then, even more so.
yes. So Stan definitely has a lot of businesses and is successful at many of them. So hosting was really among the very few choices that I had in terms of not stepping on the toes of my former employer or looking shady in terms of, there's always talk when somebody leaves a company and joins another that they brought all of their client base and all of that stuff. And I just, obviously I still have the contacts. There's no way I can get rid of them forever because now a lot of people are more than contacts and are acquaintances or friends that I want to stay in touch with. But at the same time, there's no competition directly or indirectly with any of the things that they are doing.
Did the fact that it had to do with technical things appeal to you as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So the whole idea of learning a whole new area was magnificent. I felt sad. I mean, I guess every time you leave a job that you've done for a long time and really liked, you feel sad leaving your people you work with. You feel sad leaving the team as well as the customers that you work with directly. But even then, I knew they were going to do well without me, so that felt lighter. But it was time to learn new things for sure. And I'm very happy for the opportunity that Brad gave me with learning hosting.
Yeah. Yeah. I was shocked to see you leave because it was like, wait, Natalie's leaving? It's like everybody so associated you with that company that we watched you grow up in that company. So it was kind of like, it was a shock to the system for all of us in the adult family. There's so many hosting choices, out there. How is Mojo Host different from everyone else?
So there's actually many ways, but let me focus on some of the main ones.
Okay.
One is that we never compromise on quality. So obviously it's easy to be a cheap host, as cheap as possible, but actually providing value is also very important and much harder. We always focus on quality. Every decision we make is geared towards quality of service. It has to do with the network. It has to do with the hardware. Anything that has to do with technical support, obviously, that's what we're known for very, very high touch tech support, and going above and beyond anything that a hosting company usually would offer. Because we do, we help customers plan out their infrastructure. We help customers implement, go through the growth pains and implement new things that will help their websites grow. We fine tune the servers to the point where it's optimized and perfect for what they're trying to do. We work directly with customers to try to resolve any problem they have. And if our team can't do it, then we'll find somebody who will. And that has to do with pretty much anything. I mean, people come to me for QA advice to help them, make sure that there's no bugs on their websites. People come to me to ask which domain name to buy. People, yes. And then people come to me to ask what billers to use. People come to me and ask what CMS systems they would be able to use for a certain new project. It kind of goes above and beyond what they are used to in terms of hosting support, and we always help. That's part of our motto. Secondly, and I think
it's part. If I can interject, it's
Sure.
part.
Go ahead,
It's. I think anytime you're doing sales and you're working closely with somebody, you become a trusted partner, not just a salesperson, which is what you want to be.
Yes, and what I actually enjoy it because in the long run, obviously not because I just like helping people in general, but it obviously also helps my business because the better off the company is and the better they grow, the more hosting they end up needing.
Yep.
But other than that, the other distinguishing factor is that we aren't a corporate machine. We are very human, we are very humane, and we are always approachable. Customers can text Brad in the middle of the night, which I asked them not to do and to reach out to me instead. but we are approachable and we are human. We will always understand and support our customers through highs as well as lows. There's just, for example, I have an interesting example actually. Do you remember last winter there was fires in LA?
Yes.
So before that, a couple months before that, we spoke to a company that's based there and offered them hosting, and they were using Amazon. And they got our quotes, thought about it. It was great. It was saving them money, but it was just so much work to move them out. Frankly, Amazon snared them with something where it cost them $8,000 to move out because of the outbound bandwidth costs.
Oh,
yes.
geez.
So basically, they were sort of a hostage to their host because of the rates and the way that they were set up. So they weren't sure they wanted to make the move. It's a very large company, so it's not necessarily a gigantic sum for them, but it's still very evident there. So they weren't really sure they wanted to make the move just because migrations are never simple, and they expected issues, especially with large digital businesses. So they weren't sure they wanted to move, and eventually the fires broke out, and they're all stuck in tents with barely any access to the internet, and they can't even log into their banking to pay their bill with Amazon. And Amazon says, "We're cutting you off in 7 days."
It's a very Amazon thing to do, actually.
And I understand they're a corporate business. They're not making those choices. They don't have the tools or the procedures to make those choices as humans. They make them as computers do. And they're like, well, this is our livelihood, and this is obviously a force majeure situation. But they were just sent from one person to another and never got any resolution. So they called us and said, hey, guys, what are the chances we can move in 7 days? And I'll tell you this, migrations like that usually would take 2 or 3 months. Working overnight 24/7, we migrated them in 6.5 days over to Mojo Host and gave them unlimited credit until the situation is resolved with, being uprooted due to the fires. And luckily, they hadn't lost any property, and in the end went back to their homes and everything went back to normal. They caught up on their bills, but we were there for them to help them through a very difficult time, and I think we've gained a very, very devoted customer from that. And you won't really ever see that from a corporate machine or a larger business with a lot more tiers and 8 levels of approvals for anything. So that's Mojo Host for you. We're human. And that differentiates us.
Yes. Now, you mentioned Brad, your owner, Brad Mitchell, he's a past guest on our podcast, and he's, in my mind, kind of like the mayor of the adult space. I got a story about Brad. We were at the Why Not show in San Francisco, the late, great Why Not show. And you might have been at that show. And I remember there was like really long dead time at the show, and Brad just said, okay, we're opening the bar. I'm paying for it. And he just got the bar open, and they brought a bar in downstairs in the seminar room area. And he just opened the bar and paid for it. That is Brad Mitchell. So how is it working with Brad every day?
Well, Brad's absolutely and definitely not only generous at trade shows. He is an amazing person. He combines generosity and being fucking awesome with all of his, excuse my language, with all of his just day-to-day work and looks and actions and decisions. Yeah. But other than that, he's humble. He's nice. Anytime I do something wrong, he is the one giving me excuses, and I'm the one saying, no, I messed this up real bad.
That sounds like
he's
him.
He's really, really great to work with. Luckily, my conscience provides all of the kicks that I'd require anyway. But Brad is just that. I mean, he's very, very easy to work with. He doesn't micromanage. He supports my decisions. And frankly, the decision method is very, very simple at MojoHost, which I really, really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
We value every decision based on whether or not it's good mojo. And that encompasses pretty much everything in terms of, is this the right thing to do?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the good thing to do? Is this a nice thing to do to our customer?
Mm-hmm.
Is this, is the decision something that I won't feel bad about? And that makes life so much easier because that unties my hands to make decisions based on what I think is correct. And there's a great value fit because I think that I fully understand what good mojo is. And
Mm-hmm.
it just makes things easy. I will never be at fault if I acted on doing what's right.
That's cool. Now, it's interesting because when someone posts about needing hosting on one of the boards, the replies are usually either 100% Mojo Host or close to 100% Mojo Host. Now, I'm sure that's very gratifying, but doesn't that also make the expectations a bit higher on the part of the clients?
That's true. And, it's our job to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
We do not try to lower our standards or, in order to make sure that people don't expect too much of us. That's never happened. We've certainly earned a lot of brand fans, and that's what I sort of call the people who are very happy with their hosting and who recommend us. And that was done through hard work, through giving them a great experience, through giving them a wow experience where they are impressed by how well we handle a situation. And it does not necessarily have to be a good situation.
Right.
I mean, issues happen, downtimes happen. It's nobody has full insurance against trouble with their hosting.
Right.
It's how well the company deals with it that makes that decision work or not work, or makes the person satisfied or dissatisfied with the service. Of course, we also, by doing the right thing, we also help our customers through everything that they need, and we help them through any issues they have, or if there's a problem that they need solved, it's likely that we can help them solve it. So they're overall happy with pretty much everything, not just their hosting. So our support is great. I mean, the response time, the guys there, they're very knowledgeable. Everyone who speaks to our customers is a senior systems administrator, which, by the way, is very uncommon. Most hosting companies have what is called levels of support.
Right.
And those levels of support start with a talking head, which is the level 1, somebody who gets the request and gets the information from the customer. Level 2, which is a person who may be able to solve your problem but isn't very experienced. So if he doesn't know how to do it, then he'll escalate it to level 3, who goes in and takes care of the request, and that's the senior systems administrator. We employ our customer-facing staff are all senior level systems administrators.
God, that sounded like Apple. My God. Frustrates the hell out of me every time I call them.
Yep, they will escalate you. No, and I get it. There's economics of scale in those decisions, but we offer a very high quality service, and that high quality service requires us to make sure that we don't differentiate, or we basically don't stratify our support team and only work with very, very experienced techs. And so that our customers, when they call us, be it in the middle of the night or during the day, it's 24/7. They know that the person they are reaching in the support staff is able to fix their problem immediately and won't need to escalate it through several levels before they get to it.
That's awesome. Now, events are obviously a big part of Mojo Host's marketing plan. How have the lack of shows affected you?
I would be saying untruth if I said that there wasn't any effect whatsoever. Frankly, I think we've had record attrition in 2020 for businesses closing down.
Yeah.
At the same time, people are using the crisis to start new things. So we actually managed to end up in a positive customer influx versus customer attrition.
Nice.
over 2020, which was a difficult task, I'll tell you that. And in terms of where we get our customers, digital trade shows have been fairly successful with that. And a lot of our customers are referrals.
Yes.
Thanks to the quality of service that we provide, a lot of our customers are referrals from from one way or another, whether it's personal or through forums or through other resources. There's people have published guides about how great Mojo Host is and how everybody should come and
Nice.
and work with us. So when you provide a service that spurs people to make a web page about how great your hosting is, and most of them I offered to act as affiliates, and obviously we have an affiliate program that pays out a lifetime percentage of what your referral pays to us. However, many people don't even worry about starting the affiliate account and actually getting that percentage. All they worry about is that their contacts get good hosting and a great service, which we definitely deliver. So there's that. And, I mean, the trade shows I miss sorely. I really, really want to go back to live trade shows, but I think that we're doing quite well, even in view of traveling and business travel.
Well, we certainly are home a lot more now, aren't we?
My daughter appreciates that. Yeah,
I bet she does. Mommy's there. My dogs appreciate it. Now, those are my children. Now, without shows, how does Mojo Host make up for the loss of face-to-face time with potential clients?
There's always Zoom calls. We're available 24/7 for any communication through either our website or Skype or Telegram or Viber or WhatsApp. I think I have them all. Maybe not Signal. That's maybe the only one that I'm missing so far. But
that's a good one.
Yeah. Well, there's so much space in my apps before they start breaking on me. But I'm considering it as well. Obviously, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those resources are open for us. We do our best to make sure that we stay together digitally. We propose phone calls for every sales conversation that we have, and those are all video phone calls. So we try to stay on top of continuing the personal communication. And other than that, I mean, we've put in efforts in marketing. We started an active blog that people can check out by going to mojohost.com and clicking blog, where we share interesting and important information about infrastructure solutions, as well as other things. I mean, there's quite a lot of information that you can find in our blog, but since those are created with mostly my effort, then the blog posts are actually very non-techy, so you may find it useful to figure out what it is your infrastructure includes by just going to our blog and reading through that.
Yeah, you've got a nice newsletter too.
Yeah. So we do our best to keep in touch with our customers. I think our latest newsletter got a giant word of approval from everyone since we announced that we've just launched free DDoS protection for our entire network.
I saw that.
So those are very cool news, and a lot of people are very happy with it. That DDoS protection is already active for every customer at no extra cost.
Sweet.
So that's
cool.
handled, as well as I think on this one, Brad approved a increase in default bandwidth allotments per server in our European servers, which is another nice little cherry on top of that cake. So every server now comes with 200 terabytes of bandwidth, and that's 8 times more than it was. And I think it's very well 8 times or 80 times more than most hosting companies offer.
That's sweet.
I think the default now in most hosts offers is 10 terabytes.
Jeez.
Pretty cool news. And then so we try to keep in touch with our customers. Mostly it's either email or messengers.
Mhm.
I even started a Telegram channel, which isn't very popular at the moment, but I'm working on making it useful and populating it with interesting content before I can
That's the
actually
key.
start inviting people there.
That's the key.
And that's going to be a techie channel where I'll talk in easy terms about infrastructure things.
Add me. I'd love to see it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Will do.
So what does your typical workday look like?
Well, it really varies and it depends on what's on my to-do list. And since my to-do list includes everything, my joke about that, by the way, isn't washing dishes. My joke is that if I need to walk the dog in order for the company to do better, I will.
There you go.
Whatever needs to be done today isn't necessarily what needs to be done yesterday. And obviously, I take care of sales matters, the social media platforms, anything in terms of, so we're always open to looking for new technical staff. So I do some of the HR screenings and meetings, phone calls, anything in between. I handle all of our sales targeted inbound tickets. Just quite a lot of juggling, but it's fun. I actually started a new meme thing on Twitter, which I don't know if I'll continue. I need a lot of inspiration for making funny memes, but they're basically infrastructure memes that matter and usually are funny. So if you want to check out our Twitter, that's at MojoHost. I think I'm doing fairly well with those, thanks to Meme Generator.
Those things,
and insider knowledge. Obviously,
help.
I try to make them useful as well as funny.
Indeed. How do you envision infrastructure progress within the next 5 to 10 years?
So that's sort of a stab in the dark because we don't know what we'll get. Well, maybe eventually quantum computing will happen, but that's sort of out in the future and it's hard to predict. What I think needs to happen is optimization, and it's certainly going that way. So I think that content storage is definitely going to move towards a cloud. And we are definitely angling to move in that direction as well. We already have some cloud solutions available for our customers and several fully managed private clouds. So the cloud is definitely here to stay, despite the fact that people are sometimes disillusioned with it. It's it has its use cases, and then sometimes a dedicated server is better. It depends on the size of the project and what it is. What I think will optimize is static content is easily going to move entirely to the cloud. So anybody who has a server, that server is just going to host the active files or the what is called dynamic files. And then static is everything that does not need any changes. So video files, photos, actual, anything that's a static will go into the cloud and be stored there, while the servers will have their hands untied to handle much more bandwidth. And the bottleneck of constantly having to upgrade drives every 6 months or every 12 months is going to stop being a problem for most of our customers, since the cloud is infinitely scalable. I believe this year we aim to expand our cloud to 10 petabytes.
Wow, I've never heard that term.
That's a very, very, very large number.
And what is it? How many terabytes is a petabyte? She's thinking. I can hear the wheels going now. If you don't know, you don't have to say. It's okay. 10 million. Yeah.
Hold on.
No. You don't have to. It's okay. It's okay.
No.
You know that. Let me move on to the next question. What are some of the issues in hosting today?
There's quite a few. I guess part of the reason that hosting is making a lot of changes, and part of the reason why we introduced network-wide DDoS protection, is that DDoS is becoming far more prevalent.
Yes.
And the attacks are becoming far more intricate and unusual, for sure.
Yes.
So this isn't just a simple matter anymore. And going forward, I mean, the I feel like it will grow and become even easier for businesses to, or for hackers to attack businesses because of the Internet of Things, of all things. Because a very, very smart hacker can actually break into a doorbell or an air purifier that's connected to the internet and use that to attack your website.
Yeah.
Not only that, they would break into hundreds of them and then start selling or start sending simple requests to your server to try to overwhelm it. And just the way that it's going and how many of those devices are coming out now, it's going to be easier and easier for them to do that.
Oh, sure.
So security, I feel like, is going to be a major thing and a very important thing, and the thing that will be actively developed. Aside from that, the content is getting larger. So any infrastructure solutions that help deliver that content faster are going to be a big hit for sure.
Yeah.
Because 4K files are larger, and people are, they won't be happy with 720p video anymore.
No.
They
wait until
files.
16K becomes the standard.
So it's going that way. Not to mention VR. We have several customers who have VR, and those files are gigantic. And so nobody's going to spend half an hour trying to download the one video.
Nope.
What they want is to stream it. And streaming video of that size really requires a local delivery. A local delivery from a node nearby that CDN allows you to set up.
Yep.
So what CDN, or the term you stumbled upon during the introduction.
Oh, I didn't stumble. I was just messing around. But anyway.
Sorry. So CDN stands for Content Delivery Network, and a CDN caches content worldwide. The content that is active and busy, what we call hot content, gets cached worldwide, and anybody who is in that same location will get that content much more quickly because of the proximity to the server. With internet, one of the biggest limiting factors is how far things are, because although things travel at the speed of light, those milliseconds add up during every hop that the data takes to get to your user. And the less hops there are, the better. Obviously, for local content, it will be much faster delivered, and therefore there will be no lag, and you will be able to stream it with no trouble.
Sure. Well, hey, Natalie, I'd like to thank you for being our guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk, and I really hope we'll have a chance to do this again really soon. My broker tip today is part 5 of what to do to make your site more valuable for when you decide to sell it later. When you decide to sell your website, make sure you have the following information available for potential buyers. Detailed information about your company, your website, and any other aspect of your operation that the potential buyers may want to find out about. This should include, for a pay site, a detailed inventory of your content, number of images and videos, how much of it is exclusive, and how much is non-exclusive. Financial information for at least the last 3 years if your company is that old. This should include sales reports, profit and loss statements, and billing reports. Get all of the information organized in a legible format that a good broker can use to sell your property. If you decide to sell it yourself, organize a list of potential buyers and start the process of contacting them. Be realistic about what your company is worth. In today's market, the kiss of death is overpricing your property. Is there anything that a potential buyer needs to know, such as, are you being sued? Do you have any substantial debts, etc.? Don't let these things be a surprise to the potential buyer. They'll either find out before the sale and not buy, or they'll find out after the sale and you'll have another lawsuit on your hands. Disclose everything. We'll talk about this subject more next week. And next week, we'll be talking to Shakun Sethi of Tickle.life. And that's it for this week's Adult Site Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Natalie Pannon. Talk to you again next week on Adult Site Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.